Good evening and welcome to a cook's tour and this very special wine pairing masterclass with Pierre Malouf. Pierre is the wine buyer for the Ottolenghi delis and restaurants, as well as the general manager at Nopi in London's Soho. Pierre will be joining us a little later to give us some context to this evening's destination, Yalla Beirut. But first, we have this very special segment focused on his carefully curated wines for us all to enjoy. Pierre, great to have you here. Welcome to A Cook's Tour.
Hello, thanks for having me tonight.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And wow, I mean, not just one wine, but four wines, a quartet of wines to be enjoying.
I brought some friends with me.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to move away a little bit from probably the expected of just choosing Lebanese wines with the meal, and instead choose wines that have a lot to say and contribute a lot to the menu, and kind of approach it from different angles and all have something kind of fun to say. We stuck with natural wines. That's generally the wines that we serve at Ottolenghi, and they're quite honest and quite expressive, and don't hide behind kind of chemicals and processes, so I think you guys will enjoy them.
Oh, well, look, I can't wait. I'm sure everyone at home is keen to pop a cork too. So where should we start?
Where every meal should start. We're going to start with some bubbly.
Oh yes, let's start with some fizz.
So we have some Malvasia from northern Italy. Malvasia is the grape, and the full name, if my bottle opener works, maybe not.
Yes.
There. So Malvasia aromatica di Candia, which basically means the aromatic Malvasia from Crete. So this is a northern Italian grape that you also find in Sicily, but it's based in Italy, but it came originally through the Roman Empire from Crete in Greece. The winemaker is called Camillo Donati. He is a third-generation winemaker, so they established the vineyard in 1930s, and it's quite small in consideration. It's 3 to 7 hectares, which is super tiny. They only do sparkling wines, and they focus a lot on Lambrusco, which is a traditional Emilia-Romagna sparkling. However, just to kind of have a bit of fun and break the rules, I did the Malvasia. It's white, so it's not a Lambrusco.
I have to say, the first thing is, I mean, it's cloudy, but there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
No.
I mean, I know we live in London or England, so we're used to cloud. So cloudy is good. It's cloudy because it's bottle fermented. So it's the term is ancestral method. Literally says what it does what it say on the bottle. It's bottle fermented, so the yeast is in there. There's no added sugar and no added yeast other than what occurs in the grape.
I see.
So it kind of makes it naturally bubbly. It does two things. It makes it naturally bubbly, softly bubbly, so it's not super aggressive. And the bubbles kind of hang around for a bit, but if you leave it in the fridge overnight, they're gonna relax a lot. And what you actually end up with, which for me is the measure of any good sparkling, is just a delicious, kind of slightly effervescent still wine.
Great. Well, should we have a try? Smells fabulous.
Yeah. you have to do the tradition, which is you obviously need to do the pretentious thing, twirling the glass.
Yeah.
But one winemaker told me that you have to do it clockwise, whereas like you kind of get used to doing it this way and then kind of doing this with the BBC,
Yeah.
But you have to do it clockwise, which is really counterintuitive to your arm.
Yeah.
But this kind of conserves the energy of the wine and the kind of positivity of it. It sounds airy-fairy, but it works. It kind of recognize that wines have their own identity and personality that kind of takes from the earth, but also from the winemaker themselves. They put a lot of effort into those, so you taste it.
Well, should we move on to our next wine tasting? What do you have in store?
So we're gonna stay in Italy. We're gonna stay in northern Italy, but we're gonna go a little bit more south to Tuscany.
Ah, lovely.
So this is from San Gimignano, which is a really idyllic kind of hilltop village near Siena. It's a little bit more. A little bit less prolific than Montepulciano, but I find probably the lack of media and touristic attention gives it a little bit more space to explore the wine itself.
A really beautiful part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now, what are we looking for here?
So 100% Vernaccia, super traditional Vernaccia, has a really kind of nice oiliness that you might expect from a classic Chardonnay, but then it still has a nice cleanliness, nice clarity, and importantly, a lot of minerality, which is kind of, if you think about something that's quite full-bodied, it's going to be super flabby and like get really boring after a while and maybe intense through a meal, whereas this one has a nice kind of saline, you know, salty minerality that really kind of gives it legs.
And where's that coming from, that sort of minerality?
Well, thank you. We didn't organize this. So I've got some show and tell. This is actually a little kind of calcified oyster shell that I brought from the actual vineyard. It's Do
they know that you squirreled that away into your pocket?
No.
Okay, Pierre.
Sadly, I mean, they're not watching. It's not going to get to Italy. It's fine.
It might.
You know, but this region. So if you kind of think of Tuscany already being quite hilly, San Gimignano is about 1,000 meter off sea level. It's quite high off, but in the Triassic age, which is a few 100 million years ago, it used to be covered by the Liguarian Sea. So actually, if you walk through the vineyard, you will still find little kind of calcified mollusk and oyster shells like this. I don't know if you can even, like now it's wearing down, you can even see where it's quite like kind of coming back to the shiny bit of the inside of an oyster shell. So this has kind of danger of making us all like think, God, there's so much to wine, I just want something easy. But I think showing you guys this and talking a little about the minerality just goes to show how important history and context is to wine, and especially natural wine works so hard at this because it's a direct conversation between the soil, between the grape, so this being a Vernaccia, the other one being Malvasia, you know, traditional grapes that always grew there, and then the skill of the winemaker who in natural wine, and this is probably why some of us find natural wine a little bit more expensive, because it's made on first of all a smaller scale, but also there's a lot of risk. They have to have everything super clean, everything super austere almost in the cellar, because any bit of mold, any bit of fungus can really ruin the wine. So whereas I think we kind of sometimes think natural winemakers are just a bunch of hippies making crazy wines, some of them are. Some of them do have cats that live in caravans. This is not a lie. However, they have to be very precise and they have to be very scientific about the way they make the wine, because there's nothing else added. They can't add sulfur. They can't add preservatives. They're not gonna filter or fine the wine. And you can see this wine super clear. It's as good as any wine you might buy in any wine shop that doesn't sell natural, but they haven't fined this. This is just through skill.
Highly skilled and a true expression of the terroir.
Highly skilled, highly risky. You know, they put a lot on the table to make this wine. So I never waste a drop. You know.
Well, okay. Should we move on?
Next.
What's next up?
Well, the next two wines, so the Georgian first and then the Lebanese, I brought because I regard them as kind of the cradle of winemaking. The earliest proof of winemaking has been found in Georgia. And then Georgia, since then, obviously, has been part of the Soviet Union. So during those times, they reverted back to more commercial wine styles. Late 90s, early noughties, they've kind of moved more towards their own really honest, traditional winemaking, which is, if you want to talk about bonkers wine, I think Georgian wines are the ones. And this is quite soft in comparison to most other ones.
Okay, so not too bonkers.
Well, bonkers, just not as bonkers.
Okay.
But I think let's start kind of by just looking at the bottle very quickly. So Pheasant Steers is the name of the vineyard. It's an American and a Georgian who set it up. And they've been at the forefront of kind of this resurgence. They have a great restaurant there if you ever find yourself in Georgia. Pheasant Steers is the name of the vineyard. It follows a myth of basically this great warrior who was looking he had like this wine, and then his mate had his own wine, and they had a competition who had the best wine, and the best wine would make a pheasant cry.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if
Love
it's a true story, but it records well. And then Ricazzitelli, that's the name of the grape. And this is a very traditional white wine grape to eastern Georgia. And then the kind of important thing for me on this is the fact that they call it amber wine. So if you were to sell this probably in a restaurant here, you might call it skin contact white wine, you might call it orange wine. But essentially when they vinify the wine, when they make it, they leave the skins on for a while, which can be anything from like 3 weeks to 3 months. And then what that does, it gives it the amber hue. But then if you also think of a red wine, we drink a really rich red wine that is quite tannic, furry on the tongue. Generally it's because of the skin contact of the grape. So an amber wine, an orange wine, will always have that kind of slightly kind of furry feeling that you get from a red wine, and has the boldness and structure of a red, but still the kind of little bit more ease that you would have with a white wine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let you, I can talk about this all day, so
Yeah, well, let's
let you drink it, and don't forget clockwise.
Oh gosh, I go. Gosh, that's very interesting. Quite dry.
Yeah.
Is that the acidity, is it?
When they make these wines,
Delicious.
they vinify them in quevries, which essentially are giant terracotta pots that they bury in the ground. You're a very tall guy, they're probably as high as you, and so basically they put in the grapes, skin on, the stalks, the pips, so they don't clean the grapes as it is. And what's really cool about it, the quevries are made from the soil of the land. So you have a grape that's come from very close. You've got the giant amphora that's made from the earth. It's brushed with beeswax, so it's not porous, from local honey and local bees. So you have something very contextual and very centralized. And when you think of Georgian food, it's quite nutty. You've got basically all the ingredients here. You've got mint, chili, pomegranates. It's actually very kind of Middle Eastern and kind of the flip side of Lebanese food, which is why I think it works. So
I love really it. A real foodie wine too.
Yeah.
I wonder why we're not seeing more of this sort of, can I kind of call it orange wine?
You can, it's like the trendy name, and I think we're kind of trying to, I think those of us who really care about natural wine are trying to move away from the trend-based element, because it's so easy to kind of think, well, it's kind of like an East London restaurant thing. It's not. It's just classically made wines. You know, one of my colleagues, kind of his way of describing it to a guest is, if you go to the British Museum and you see like a 1880s tapestry, they're never drinking clear Pinot Grigio wine. They're drinking wine that clearly has like this kind of really stunning amber hue.
Yes.
Because it's just wine as it is.
As it is. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Georgian wine is important, I think, because it kind of tells us what wine was and what wine could be. And it's great with food. And part of me being, I guess, a Lebanese person, I'm a little bit jealous, because I feel that's where Lebanese wine can be. I think Lebanese wine is one of the best wines, but it's very influenced recently, I think in modern times, by French winemaking. Yes. Which we'll kind of get to in a moment, whereas Georgian wine, having kind of moved away from kind of the commercialized winemaking that they had to do during the Soviet era because they supplied the Soviet Union, they've now really rediscovering their voice.
Amazing. And these wines are from Le Cave de Purine?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we should probably move on to our final wine, which is your Lebanese wine.
It is. It's my Lebanese wine. Also comes from the region where I'm originally from. So I love this wine. We've opened it a while before. I know we put it in the fridge for a little bit because it's quite a bold red. So, you know, weather changes day to day. And if you find yourself on a slightly warmer day, or rather not a super cold day, just make sure it's not warm, put it in the fridge for a tiny bit, and open it. Open it for a while, so just so it has time to breathe. It's from the Bekaa Valley, the grapes, and the vineyard is in Gazir, which is not very far, but it's further down. The Bekaa Valley is, again, kind of like the Vernaccia, is on more or less 1,000 meters above sea level. It's a lot drier and arid there, though. It's very fertile because part of it, there's a lot of calcium, a lot of limestone in the soil, but there's also a volcanic element, although there are no volcanoes in Lebanon now. But it does have volcano soil from previous, millions of years. So what you end up with a wine that from the heat, you get a lot of boldness and like punchy richness, kind of like a Sasquatch, but then what you get from the soil is actually elegance and cleanliness and like something that, okay, it's a little bit punchy, but then calms straight down and goes super well with food. And I think out of all of them, probably have the most affinity to it because it's Lebanese, but also because the winemaker, although he's passed away, his name is, the cuvée is called Osha, which is after him. He was one of the first Lebanese winemakers to go back into natural winemaking. And I think it's a great example of natural wine because you can have this at a dinner table anywhere in the country and it's super popular in the UK. People don't know that it's natural. It's not advertised because generally people regard it as a very kind of Bordeaux-style classic wine.
Okay, well, I'm very excited to try it, if I remember to spin the correct way.
Yeah, it takes a while. You're going to spill a few glasses.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good, and actually very elegant as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's got so much to say, and it's Grenache, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Cinsault, which are the kind of traditional French grapes that Lebanon adopted. Traditionally, Lebanese wine, the Lebanese the grapes are Obeidi and Marwa, and they are white wines, and they kind of seen as Cinderella's ugly sisters. Although more and more kind of the younger winemakers are experimenting with them. But most Lebanese wine you'll find is kind of Bordeaux style.
Well, I think that one's fabulous. And I mean, that will happily sit with all the dishes, I imagine, on the menu tonight.
Definitely. I mean, open it before you start cooking because it does need to breathe.
So open now, everyone.
Yeah, but you see, like, I don't know if you get it. It's that kind of got richness that's going to cut through the sardines, the cherries in the sardines, the garlic in the chicken. But then when you have something as vegetal as the chard, it's not gonna kind of melt away. It still has that kind of clean, I guess mineral, if I can use that word again, but it does have that unusual minerality that you don't expect from a red wine.
Well, Pierre, thank you. We could talk all evening, but we've got a cook-along to crack on with quite soon. And we better remove these bottles, otherwise that cook-along might get a bit funky.
I'll leave you to it.
But thank you so much, and we will see you shortly when we're joined by Calvin, and we will talk a bit more about Yalla Beirut, so I'm looking forward to that immensely. And everyone at home, thank you for joining us, and we shall see you shortly for the cook-along. evening and a warm welcome to a cook's tour with Rocket and our first destination, the Basque Country.
Vegetables, and as you can see, sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. And what I want to do is put the space top yolk right in the middle.
Good evening and a warm welcome to a cook's tour and to our next destination, Yalla Beirut. My name is Charlie Grant Peterkin and I am delighted to be joined this evening by Calvin von Niebel and Pierre Malouf from Ottolenghi. Calvin is executive chef of Ottolenghi, the delis and restaurants Nopi and Rovi. Having been classically trained, Calvin gained experience working in various British gastropubs and restaurants prior to joining Ottolenghi, where he has worked for 9 years. Under the mentorship of Ramel Scully, Sami Tamimi and Yotam Ottolenghi, Calvin's style of cooking has found a unique voice, combining his South African heritage with his experience of living in Asia and his love of Middle Eastern food. I'm also thrilled to be joined by Pierre Malouf, wine buyer for Ottolenghi and general manager at Nopi. Pierre is not only an expert and lover of wine, but also a man who knows a thing or two about this evening's destination. Gentlemen, it's wonderful to have you both here in the Cook's Tour kitchen. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much. Great to be here.
Good. Well, Pierre, we've had a fabulous 20 minutes or so quaffing some wine and certainly sort of set the tone for this evening. But it's great that you're here and you can just give us a little bit of flavour about Yalla Beirut. So tell us, what is it that's so sort of wonderful about this evening's destination?
And what does Yalla mean?
Yes, tell us, what is Yalla?
Yalla is like an encouraging word, like yalla, like go. You're going to find yourself using it a lot with Calvin. Calvin and I worked with each other for about 8 years, and then we started Yalla Beirut last year in response to the explosion in Beirut. We wanted to fundraise some money, so we did a few events and a pop-up, and I think that I've always grown up with Lebanese food. Obviously, I grew up there, and we moved when I was young to Australia, whereas it was new to Calvin. I think what I really enjoyed about it was working together, me kind of exploring my country from a different context, and I think Calvin, especially like you guys will see with this menu, he's really kind of given it a new focus. It's not so kind of expected of like really kind of classic Lebanese dishes. It kind of explores the corners of history and context without it being too heavy-handed. So I think it's quite exciting, actually.
Wonderful. I've been admiring both of your badges that you've been wearing. And are they to do with the pop-up?
Yeah, so this is a logo that my dear friend Ian Holmes designed for us, just kind of as a representation of Yalla Beirut. And we had a lot of generosity. I think we had a lot of producers, suppliers, people like Calvin giving time to this. Without having a connection to Beirut, which was so touching. And I made these at the end to kind of give them to those who helped out. So,
well, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
And Calvin, gosh, we're so excited to have you cooking for us this evening. And what is the sort of, for you, the sort of the influence, the inspiration behind this evening's menu?
I think, a lot of what Pierre said, when Pierre asked me to help him out with the pop-up Yalla Beirut during the first, it was that interval between the lockdowns.
It's all a blur now.
Yeah, it is a blur, but it was like that period where we could come out of lockdown and just do something quite special. So it was really fun. We also had Noor from our test kitchen and one of our other chefs, Abi, involved, and Pierre had a bunch of people front of house. So it was really exciting, a good little collaboration after a long time just putting food in boxes. It was good to put food in plates again.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed exploring and doing a bit of research on Lebanese food and culture to prep my mind for that pop-up. So when a cook's tour came along, I thought it would be great to just relive that little experience again. And
brilliant.
Yeah.
and bring that to everyone at home tonight. So, well, guys, thank you very much. And Pierre, we're going to, we're going to see you a little bit later when you're going to bring some wine back onto the kitchen set, which we're going to, very much look forward to. It's going to spur us on, isn't it?
Yes.
So thank you very much. And now it's time to get cooking. But before we do, just a reminder for everyone at home that you are welcome to cook now or you can cook later. And as I always like to say, Yalla Beirut to all our Friday cooks. It's good to have you on board. There is the live chat function, so please do post any questions you might have during the cook-along, and Michael is there to help you out with any queries. The booklet is also there for you, and of course it has all the recipes listed in there for the cook-along. Don't forget, we love, love, love seeing photographs of your wonderful creations, so do post using the hashtag #CookWithRocket and tag a cook's tour. Well, that's really it. There is a competition, of course. We will be giving a free box to our next destination for that someone who creates something that is really very, very special, and that would be judged by the man on my right, Calvin. So with that, stick your ovens on, 190 degrees, and let's have a quick overview from the man himself about the 5 dishes that we're going to be cooking tonight.
Yeah. So we're going to start with selek meshi.
Yes.
Yeah, selek meshi.
You've got to get that right, haven't you?
Yeah,
otherwise,
get that right, because Pierre's told me that if you say selek meshi, it means walking spinach or walking silver beet.
Yeah.
Selek meshi, I don't know. It means stuffed silver beet or spinach.
Fabulous.
Or chard. Yeah. So it's kind of like what most people know is like a dolmade. It's a rolled in vine leaf. What we're doing is we're rolling some baldo Turkish rice in chard, and then we're sort of cooking it, steaming it with lemon and olive oil and.
Brilliant. Okay. Good.
And then we've got some kadaifi wrapped sardines, which have been stuffed with sour cherries, dried sour cherries that have been soaked in orange juice and muscatel vinegar.
Oh.
And then chopped with some Kalamata olives, almost to make like a tapenade type vibe. And we stuff the sardines with that, and we wrap them in the kadaifi. And then the kadaifi is just it's basically like phyllo pastry, but it's extruded into noodles and then dried.
Gosh, that's gonna be fun.
Yes, we don't do the extruding. We just do the rolling. So crunchy little sardine morsels.
Lovely.
And then what else?
We've got some beautiful radishes.
We've got some radishes. So we're having the radishes with mutabal, which is burnt aubergine dip. And so that's just like a really nice fresh snack, crunchy radishes, and that nice smoky creaminess of the aubergine, which is just like, that smoky burnt aubergine. I think it's a quintessential thing on the Lebanese table, part of the meze, so it's good to have it.
Good. And then the main event, is it the poussin?
The main event is the poussin. So this is inspired by Lebanese Beiruti street food, shish tawouk, which just means like char-grilled chicken. It's normally on a skewer like a kebab. We are not grilling it, we're cooking it in a pan, and we've just marinated in like a shawarma rub, and that's going to go with some toum, which is like really punchy garlic sauce.
Oh, yes.
And then it's going to get some pickles on the side and some fresh pita bread.
Oh, gosh.
Bed of pita.
A bed of pita. Lovely. Well, we better get cooking, hadn't we?
Yeah.
Where are we going to start?
So we'll start with the meshi selek.
Okay.
Selek meshi. So I've got this leaf plate with more leaves on it. So you will receive in your box some blanched chard leaves that will come like that, and you will also receive some stalks of the chard. So we're using the whole chard. So what we're going to do is just take a medium small size saucepan.
Yeah.
We're going to make 6 of these rolls. So in the bottom of the saucepan you want to put the chard leaves, slice up some tomato.
So creating a sort of a little bed of the leaves in the bottom of the pan.
Yes.
And then, so
it's just like
tomatoes on top.
Yeah, essentially this is just to keep the the select meshi off the base of the pan, but it also just makes a stock, like adds flavor that will go into the rice as it cooks.
I see, okay, good.
We want to add like a little pinch of salt over the tomatoes.
It's important to build those layers of flavor, isn't it?
Yes, and then we're going to have some herbs in there as well. So we'll put some like 2 sprigs of mint, just whole like that.
Love it.
Parsley, we're just going to put the stalks.
Yeah.
And we'll use, is there a little bowl there that I can?
Yeah, of course.
The leaves we'll use later for our tabbouleh.
Yeah. Okay, so sort of stalk to leaf eating, if there was such a thing.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, so that's going in the bottom. It's almost like you're sort of making this sort of a base of a stock, isn't it?
It is. You're making a little veggie stock.
Yeah.
To cook the rice in.
Good, good, good. Incidentally, at home, you know, Calvin is a pro and is going to be working along at a good pace. But if you need a moment, so just press the space bar, and that will just sort of live pause the action, and press the space bar again, and then you can catch up. So there's no need for anyone to get behind.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on there?
Now we're picking some dill, and we will use the dill to garnish the select meshi at the end.
Okay.
So I'm putting them in some cold water just to make sure they're nice and refreshed and not looking limp.
Is that a good trick for sort of, or a good tip for all sort of use of herbs, is to refresh in cold water?
I do, yeah, I do think so, because I like herbs to look vibrant and fresh. And cold water helps to just revive them.
Yeah.
So those dill stalks are going in the base as well.
And again, the stalks are going in. I mean, just it must be sort of very sort of typical of Lebanese cuisine, but just the amount of herbs you're using already.
Yes.
I mean, straight in with the herbs.
Lots of herbs, lots of lemon, which is great.
Yeah.
So now, so that's going to be our base.
Okay.
Now we're going to make our little rolls.
Yes.
So we want six rolls.
Okay, so
we're just going to open up these leaves.
Yeah.
And we're going to cut them in half like that.
Okay, good.
So that's 4, and then 1 more.
And what are these? These are Swiss chard, are they?
This is Swiss chard.
Yeah. Now, why do I think vine leaves? I mean, that's sort of traditionally.
Yeah, not like most commonly you'll find vine leaves.
Okay.
Find the stem and vine leaves, yeah.
But you've gone for Swiss chard. Is that a seasonality thing, or?
It's a seasonality thing for sure, but also I just really like it. I like the sort of irony flavour of the Swiss chard. And it's just a vegetable I like to use.
They look beautiful. Okay.
Yes. So
I can pop that to one side for you.
Thank you. So we're going to start stuffing these little guys. So this is the Baldo rice. It's been cooked with onions, and we add a bit of Turkish pepper paste in the base, just instead of using a tomato paste. It just gives it a little bit of umami actually, because that pepper paste is made out of fermented peppers.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna just like fill these, and maybe you can do the rolling.
Oh, I'd love to have a go at it. You might have to show me how to do the first one.
Yeah. So we want like I don't know, 2 teaspoons maybe.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna like.
Beautiful contrast of colours, isn't it?
It is.
It's almost got the texture of sort of risotto as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Actually, Baldo is the grandmother of arborio rice. It's an older grain. It's less sticky and starchy than arborio, but it's related. So,
okay, so you're turning in the sides, and flipping over the top.
Yeah, actually I forgot to mention something.
Don't worry.
Before you roll, just take the leaves and just like break the spines a little bit in them. It's going to help you roll easier.
Yes.
But in this case, I'm just going to carry on with what I'm doing.
Good.
So roll it over.
And caution to the wind.
Yes. So you want them to be nice and tight, but also leave a little bit of a space for them to expand a little bit.
Okay.
And then we're just going to pack them in directly into the pan, nice and snug.
Cute.
Yeah, very cute.
Yeah. Oh, happy little fellas in there.
Happy fellas, yeah, nice and snug.
Okay.
So I'm just going to make sure these are nice and...
You're happy with those?
Yeah.
I suppose you can sort of, you can pick the bits you like and discard those.
You can, and all the rest of the leaves can go into the pan as well. To tuck them in and help make them more snug.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also... once you've finished cooking this, you can eat everything that's in the pan. It's going to make like a nice sort of...
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Tomorrow's lunch sorted.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm going to just get the rice ready. If you do the rolling,
okay,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. Beautiful sort of contrast of colours there too. Now, these are one of those sorts of things, aren't they, that they have a bit of a bad rep. I mean, they can be delicious or they can be disastrous.
Absolutely.
What is, I mean, how do you avoid having a disaster?
Actually, in preparation for this, I went to the shop and bought some tinned dolmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just to try them and see, like, am I really making something that's better than what you can buy in the shop?
Oh, okay,
and yeah, we really are making something better.
Oh, good.
Because they just, you know, they've been preserved for a long time. They're sitting in brine, and which is not a bad thing, obviously, because, you know, maybe traditionally they would be made in bulk and then preserved, but like, yeah, as a commercial product, I think there's just a lot of bad ones out there.
Yeah. You were saying before we came on air how you've enjoyed working with the brigade at Rocket and how they've managed to sort of turn their hand to your recipes and delivering the production. It's true testament, isn't it, when you think of all the different destinations we've visited to on a cook's tour, and yet, you know, whether it's yourself or Ryan or other chefs, have been able to sort of conjure up these wonderful recipes, and then the team at Rocket are managing to recreate it and keep the authenticity of the flavours.
They've been really great, and they've been excited about it as well.
Oh wow! Yeah. Well, it is. It's all a journey of discovery, isn't it?
Yeah.
For us as well as everyone at home.
Those are beautiful cigars.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any risk of them exploding? Because actually, I can see this one here. I'm sorry, I do this with Ryan quite a lot. I sort of have a tendency of messing things up, but then I think, you know, at home this could easily happen at home too.
Yes.
So what do you do? Just patch it up?
Yeah, patch it up.
Polyfiller?
Get another leaf. That's why you've got a few extra.
Okay.
But this is fine.
Okay.
Look,
That'll do. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, they can explode, but these are good. You've done a good job.
Okay, and so these we're cooking this. Oh dear, this is not going to go well. This has already gone badly. I'm going to have to
grab another leaf. Yeah.
Okay, I know that's going to go badly. But these will be delicious tonight, obviously, but they'll be really good tomorrow as well.
Yes, actually, we're going to be cooking these quite quickly because of the nature of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But the best thing to do is to eat them the next day.
Aha. Okay.
Because the flavors will develop and they become like more firm and tighter because they've just been resting up and.
Well, that's good to know.
Flavors have been mingling.
Yeah. Well, I do know that a few of our intrepid cooks like to sort of cook this evening, but also hold stuff back for, you know, the next day or the next night.
Yes.
Jolly good. I think I managed to salvage that one.
Nice one. Beautiful. And then one more.
One more coming your way. And how long are these on the heat for?
So we're going to cook these for half an hour.
Okay.
And then we're going to take them off and just let them rest and absorb up the cooking liquid for like 10 minutes before we take them out. So you see we've got quite a lot of space in the pan, and you want these to be nice and tightly packed.
Let's pop that right up there so we get a really good shot on the overhead.
So there's a lot of space in the pan, and you really want these to be snug, as we mentioned. So just use your other leaves to kind of make sure that they're, like, you know, not going to roll around.
As cozy as can be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool.
I love it.
So this is some water which I've heated up.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with olive oil first. So this is early harvest olive oil. It's really nice. It's Arbequinia olives, and they call it early harvest because it's an early harvest. They harvest them when the olives are still green.
Yeah.
Which means that there's a much smaller yield of olive oil, but the quality is amazing.
Is it? Okay.
And it's not peppery or pungent. It's quite grassy and even banana-y. If you smell it, it's like fruity banana-y, which is good for something like this because you can be quite liberal with the olive oil, and it's not too pungent. Yeah.
Well, I did notice you were being quite liberal there, so you go for a really good splash.
Yeah, good splash. Again, another little pinch of salt on top.
Yeah.
And then something else we'll be liberal with is lemon juice.
Yes. Lemon is a key component.
Not a sharp knife, that one. So lemon.
Lemon is such a key component. Why is that? Is it because it's so prevalent in the area, or?
I've heard somebody say that Lebanese lemons are the best lemons, but I don't know.
I'm sure that
there's a lot of
Italians would say that about
exactly,
lemons, wouldn't they?
Exactly, but yeah, there's just lots of lemons in the region, and they're used so much in the cooking. And the sourness in this dish just really adds another dimension of freshness to it.
Yeah, I love your use of kitchen utensils there. That's brilliant. Very innovative.
Can I pass that to you?
Yeah, of course you can.
So now that we've got those lemoned and olive oiled up, we're just going to cover them with a bit of water.
So that's sort of off the boil water,
That's just hot water to speed up the whole process.
Oh, okay, fine.
And we're just going to pour enough water on for them just to like kind of level up to the rolls.
Yeah, but not cover.
Add a little bit more.
A little bit more?
It's fine that it's cold.
Yeah.
Most of it's hot. Just to be level with the silk meshi, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're going to put a little plate on top of them. Which is just going to keep them from moving about. Yeah.
Great. So a plate actually sits on top of them rather than a lid to a saucepan.
Yes.
Okay. Noted.
And I'm just popping a pan in the oven for the chicken, which we're going to cook next.
Okay. So in effect, guys at home, pop your a frying pan in the oven.
Yeah.
So you're going to get it hot.
Yeah.
Nice and hot. Okay.
So these are going to go on. So what we want to do is we want to bring them up to a boil, and then put it down on a low simmer.
Okay.
And then just forget about them for half an hour.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So we will high heat to begin with, and then we'll keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, we are going to prepare our chicken.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited by unveiling the poussin.
Yeah, unveiling the poussin. So we've butterflied the poussin. Spatchcocked it.
Yeah.
So just take it out.
And again, so that's been sort of sitting on a bed of parsley.
Yes.
And in a beautiful marinade.
Yeah. The marinade is shawarma spice.
Ooh.
So what you want to do now, just have a look at the bird, make sure there's not too many feathers. Like this one has a little bit of hairy feet, so I'm going to take that off.
Okay.
And then we're going to season it up nicely with some flaky sea salt.
Yep.
Well, this is actually ground sea salt, but it's still sea salt.
What's in the shawarma paste?
That's a secret.
Okay, fine.
Actually, I got this recipe from Noor Murad, who's in our test kitchen.
Uh-huh.
But we've used quite a few different shawarma rubs in the restaurant. Scully also has a great one. But there's a blend of all sorts of spices, including turmeric and fenugreek and cumin and other such things.
So
this is ginger paste, and there's some garlic paste.
Okay, so this is very much something out of the Ottolenghi little black book.
This is yes. Exactly.
Okay, good.
Just going to wash my hands again.
Yeah, I do. And plenty of salt went on there, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yes. So my pan that I've put in is nice and hot. I'm just going to make sure it's even.
Blast it on there as well.
Blast it on there, and we're going to go a little bit of veg oil in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough to
sort of coat the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to wait for that to be nice and sizzling hot before we add the poussin. Do you think we should start the sardines in the meantime while we wait for that to warm up?
Yeah, why not?
Or are we going to get things confused?
No, let's start getting the sardines prepped, and then when you're ready, we can get the chicken on and in the oven.
So I'm going to put that chicken there ready for his hot pan.
Okay.
And let's go with the sardines.
Perfect.
So I've got another chopping board here. What I'm going to do is just it's going to be a little bit messy because we've got to debone these sardines.
Okay. Well, I'm your sort of your sous chef for the evening, so feel free to. Well, I can't profess to know how to debone a sardine, but I can certainly watch and learn.
You're going to practice now.
I can practice now, exactly.
Yes.
No time like the present.
Straight out onto a little.
God, they're beautiful little things, aren't they?
Lovely. They're shiny.
The colour of those.
I do love sardines.
Yeah.
And these sardines, although this recipe is not really very Lebanese, it's inspired by Lebanese street food of just fried sardines with tahini and lemon.
I see. Okay, just really simple stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So what we're going to do with these is we need to take that little fin out off the top.
Yeah.
Because nobody really wants that.
Shall I get you something to put your...
I can just put it on the cloth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
No props.
And then we're going to press down that backbone.
Ah, okay.
But what I'm doing is I'm not putting too much pressure on because I don't want to mush up the fillets. So I'm just kind of you can kind of hear it crunching away.
Crunching away.
and just make sure that you can feel that it's loosened, and then we're going to turn the sardine over, find the backbone, and then just use our fingers. There's no knives involved in this.
And there it is.
And then remove the spine. Just
That's
like
great.
That.
Wow.
Yeah. And then sometimes there's like some rib bones here.
Yeah.
You might just want to slice that off. Although those little bones are so small, they're perfectly edible if you want to just keep them there.
Okay, so
that's how we.
That's it. That's how you butterfly.
Yeah, that's how we butterfly.
Okay, well, why don't you have show us how to do it again, so everyone at home has got a sort of a.
And then my pan's getting there in the.
Your pan, I can see it beginning to smoke a bit, so I think you're getting close. So off with the.
Off with the
sort of
the fin.
The fin.
And then press down.
Press down along the backbone.
Yeah.
The sort of.
And listen for the sound.
Little crunches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little crunches.
There we go.
And you can actually feel the bone loosen off. Turn them back over.
This bit's brilliant. And
just use your thumb to prise the bone.
And
away.
do you start from where are you pulling it up from?
I start from the tail because I want to keep these tails in the presentation of the dish. Otherwise, you can just start there and take the tail off as well.
Ah, I see. So start from the tail end.
There's more than one way to do this job.
Yeah.
Some people use a knife. So there, and then just keep the finger down to prise away the bone.
And could any of the bones? Well, if they do, you can, I suppose.
You know what? I wouldn't even take those ribs off. That one's fine.
It's beautiful.
Some of them are more bony than others, so you can choose what to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to try this?
I'd love to have a go. Yes, please.
And while you do that, I'm going to cook my poussin.
Okay, good.
So I'm just going to wash my hands.
So here we go. I'm going to get that little fella off there. It's great to have sardines in the kitchen.
I love sardines.
Me too. It's one of those things as soon as I get to Cornwall, it's the first thing I order is sardines. Right, I'm doing sort of the.
That's what we're doing.
There you go.
So we're putting the legs down, and we're pushing the breast down against the pan and letting the little arms spread out. And that's going to start smelling like shawarma in here.
Oh, happy days.
Yeah.
And how many minutes on skin down?
I don't know, just until you start to see it sear, like, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bit of chef judgment. There's not always an answer, Charlie. It's just about, the feel of cookery.
Yes.
Oh, no. I don't want to lose the tail. There we go.
Yeah, you've done it. Yeah.
I got it.
Cool. Amazing.
Oh, I haven't done that bit.
And if you do end up with a little bit of spine on the tail, like what's left there, you can just take your knife and snip that away if you want.
Good plan.
Yeah? Cool.
Okay.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to season the sardines.
Okay.
Sardines like quite a lot of salt.
Good.
So be generous with the salt.
You made this look so easy, but actually, I don't know, maybe you've done a few of these before.
Yeah. So just season the flesh of the sardine.
We're using that knife for the fish.
Yes.
I'm going to trim this like a good pupil.
I'm going to whack this in the oven just to keep going.
So you're keeping it, so skinned side down.
Yeah, it's still skinned side down.
And just a reminder, the oven's at 190 and it's going in for sort of half an hour or so.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
That looks beautiful. So put that there. We're going to season that as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stuff the sardines.
Aha.
So we've got here a stuffing mix, which is, as I described earlier, sour cherry and Kalamata tapenade. And what we're going to do is just lay that inside. There seems to be quite a lot of stuffing on this menu, doesn't there? Lay that.
Well, is that a thing with Lebanese food, or is it just the way this menu has panned out?
It does appear like, in a lot of the Middle East.
Yeah.
Lots of things are stuffed. Courgettes and aubergines and vine leaves and
yes. And then thrown on charcoal.
Yeah.
I was going to ask actually about the poussin. I mean, traditionally that would probably be cooked on charcoal, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be cooked on like skewers, like a kebab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, kebabs.
I love kebabs.
Me too.
So basically, this shish tawuk we're making is kind of a posh kebab.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kebab elevated to a cook's tour. I love that.
So, so that's the stuffing. We're going to put some parsley in there as well.
In my 20s, I lived above a Lebanese restaurant.
Oh, really?
And I got to know their menu quite well, and I have to say their kebabs were fabulous. Their chicken shawarma.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to stuff them like that, and then just close them a little bit. Like
Okay,
that.
so
Doesn't matter if the parsley's sticking out a bit.
so you've got your lovely tapenade, and then the parsley on top, seasoned with some salt,
Yeah.
and then sort of just rolling it over. But
Rolling it
as
over.
you said, not
You won't completely close it.
Yeah.
Because we've removed some of the belly.
you're not rolling a sardine cigar here, are you?
No.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. There we go. So those are our sardines.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do now is roll them in the kadaifi.
Aha.
So yeah, there's lots of washing of hands going on.
Yeah, there is.
Because fish and chicken and
Yeah, we'll be careful around that, haven't we?
So,
Okay,
so let's do the rolling of the. So the kadaifi, I've actually prepared some.
Oh, you have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've melted some clarified butter. Just going to put that on this cloth.
So at home, it's butter in a pan, and over sort of a low to medium heat, melt it down.
Yes, until the fat solids and the water separate, and you're left with basically liquid gold that is beautiful for cooking everything.
So-
But we've done that for you, so
Yes,
they're going to
indeed.
receive the butter clarified.
Well,
So
there you go.
we're going to do one sardine at a time because we don't want the butter to set, as soon as it hits the pastry and make it difficult to roll.
Great.
So you're just going to lay your kadaifi out like that, like a little sort of
That sort of angel hair.
angel hair. That's it, vermicelli vibe. So that's going to go like that, and then we are going to pick some lemon thyme directly onto that.
With all these herbs, I mean, the lemon thyme is the one, obviously, with it's the smallest little leaf, isn't it? The sort of
Yes.
the
Nice and fragrant. And then we're going to just
So you will need to warm your clarified butter at home a little bit.
yes.
Yeah, so do
Just
warm
to
it up.
melt it.
Just to melt it, so it shouldn't take a moment or two.
And then we're just drizzling the clarified butter directly over it like that.
Great.
Looks cute, no?
It does.
And then we're going to pick up the sardine and we're just going to roll him like that.
Great, look at that.
And you can fluff up it, so it looks,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want it to look too sort of compressed. You want the kadaifi to look a little bit fluffy.
I love it. Sort of wispy hair.
Wispy hair, yes.
Looks a bit like a sort of a politician I can think of.
I'm going to get these ready on a rack like this, so that the heat goes underneath and cooks it as well.
Gotcha. Having a quick chicken check.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Oh, good colour.
A little bit more, a little bit more.
A little bit more?
Yeah. So, how do
you're
you
really looking for it to sort of blacken, are you?
not blacken, but yeah, like nice sort of caramelization.
Caramelization.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Cool.
You were going to ask me if I wanted to roll a sardine.
Yes.
But I think my rolling skills are sort of on point this evening.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'll have a go.
Yeah, have a go.
Yeah.
So you want to just wipe down between each sardine. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Okay, so 9 years with Ottolenghi. Gosh, you must have learnt a bit. Has it been quite an adventure?
It really has. Yeah. It's an amazing company to work.
Yeah.
Work with so many great people.
How did it all begin 9 years ago? Were you were sort of in the restaurant scene and?
Actually, I had I'd just come back from Thailand where I'd been living for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'd taken a break from the restaurant world, and for 2 years to teach English and just
cool.
travel around Southeast Asia.
Yeah, great.
And when I came to London, I wanted to find a kitchen that was, a little bit different to what I'd been trained in.
Yeah.
And was a little bit closer to what I really enjoyed in food, which was, liberal use of spices and herbs.
Yeah. Okay. So out with this guy. But you didn't begin, presumably, as executive head chef.
No, I started at Noppy as a chef de partie because I'd taken 2 years out of the professional kitchen, so I wasn't too confident to jump in a senior role. I wasn't ready to jump in a senior role. So now we've got that beautiful color there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's pop that there quickly, so we get a quick look on the overcam. Look at that. So, yes, caramelization. Like
caramelization, and so we're going to add chicken stock and onions
around the side.
Around the side. We may or may not need all of that. I'm not going to put it all.
Now, chef alert! I can see some bubbling and boiling going over there.
So that's going to go down on a simmer. This is going to go in the oven.
Okay. And then.
Yes.
Down to a simmer.
Yes.
Very good.
Down to a simmer.
Oh, it's exciting when everything starts happening all at once.
This parsley, you can just chuck it in the pan with the chicken.
Yes, okay.
Parsley that the chicken travelled to us with.
Yeah. That can go in the pan. Okay.
It's just going to add a little bit of extra flavour to the stock.
So you began in Nopi, you were saying, and that was sort of 9 years ago.
Yeah, nearly 9 years ago in July. Yeah. And then I did various jobs through the company, like I ran the dinner section, the dinner service at Islington, our Islington kitchen. I worked as a development chef for a while, and then the last 2 years I've been doing this job, which has got its own challenges, I imagine. Yeah, exactly. And what's it been like working for Yotam and Sami? And I mean, it must be pretty incredible. What? It's been amazing. I've learned so much from them.
Yeah.
There's so many conversations around food and heritage of food, and it's just always inspiring. And I've learned what to do with vegetables.
Yes.
Like before I came into the Ottolenghi kitchens, I loved veg, but I wasn't that clued up on, a lot of chefs at that time didn't, veg wasn't the hero necessarily.
And now, well, it's incredible. I mean, they absolutely put it centre stage, don't they?
Exactly. Cool, they look really great.
We're doing good?
Yes, and then we're doing our last.
We're getting into a rhythm. This is what we do in the rocket kitchen when we're sort of doing big parties. Everyone has their part to play. These are really fun, these noodles. Are you on the right hob?
Am I? Yeah, I think I am, yeah. It's just simmering away.
Yeah, well, it can't be that easy coming into a new kitchen and a set kitchen as well.
I'm always bad with those inductions. Even in our kitchens, because in our kitchens I'm not in any one kitchen for a long enough period of time to be like a ballet dancer in the kitchen, so the chefs are used to me fumbling around.
Come on, Calvin, I could imagine you as a ballet dancer. You disappoint me.
Maybe 10 years ago. So now that we've done that, we're also going to drizzle the excess clarified butter all over the top of the...
Yeah, go on, lashings of butter, that's what we want, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm just going to wipe down this surface here.
If you don't have a rack like this, you can just put them on your oven rack, but make sure you put a tray underneath to catch all the butters. Okay. The juices and the butter. So, our sardines are let's put them in the oven now.
Okay.
And they're going to take around 8 to 10 minutes, depending on your oven. And then in the meantime, we are going to make tabbouleh.
We are.
And then we're going to move on to pita. So let's do.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've wiped down the surfaces, so you're good to go.
Thank you.
Move that out of the way.
So this tabbouleh, the recipe is actually inspired by one by Sami.
Okay.
So Sami made a winter tabbouleh in his Palestine cookbook.
Yeah.
And I really love it. It's so colourful and vibrant. So he used red cabbage in that one with blood orange. So I'm basically doing the same thing with a slightly different recipe. I'm not using the spices that he uses because we've got quite a lot of spices going on in our chicken. And this dish is kind of to pair alongside the poussin, so you don't need all that spice. It's just really fresh and sour and zingy. Yeah.
Good.
So we're shredding up the cabbage nicely, nice and fine.
Watching those fingers.
Watching those fingers. Might not need quite all of this. I mean, that's going to make quite.
That's going to do it.
I'm going to put that aside. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know, traditionally with sort of grilled meats in the Middle East, I mean, it is sort of lively, vibrant salads, couscous. Does that feature much in Lebanese cuisine?
I'm not sure about couscous, but definitely bulgur wheat.
Bulgur wheat,
that
yeah.
sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shake this dressing, the blood orange dressing, and mix that with the cabbage. And we're just going to let that marinate. I'm just going to use probably just a quarter of this onion. It's a nice big one.
So you're a wee peel.
Yeah, a wee peel. And I'm just gonna use that little quarter there.
So what is the secret then to a good tabbouleh, do you think?
It's got to be zingy and lemony.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I like it with lots of parsley and herbs, and lots of lemon, and a little bit of bulgur wheat as well. Like, I don't put too much bulgur in mine. Some are more like bulgur heavy. Some people say that the richer you are, the less bulgur you use, and the more herbs you use. Yeah. So we're just going to mix these together, and you see how it's changing colour?
Yeah, it's almost instantaneous.
Yeah.
That must be sort of the acidity having its word.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, lovely.
Yeah.
And you're right, that's going to give a lovely sort of crunch and texture as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
Alongside it.
And kebabs and red cabbage, you know?
Ah, match made.
Yeah.
So at the moment with your position, I mean, you must do a lot of sort of the menu development and the menu planning. That must be a hugely sort of fun and creative experience.
It is fun and creative. I find what I'm doing lately is I'm working more with the head chefs of each site to do to work with them to create the menus rather than me doing it, because I think it's obviously, you know, they're all super talented. I can learn loads from all of them.
Of course.
So it's a collaborative thing, you know?
Yeah.
So blood orange. We're going to keep the blood orange quite nice and chunky in this salad. So we're just going to take the peel off.
So top and tail it.
Top and tail it.
And then you're sort of gliding your knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done this a few times on the cook's tour, so I hope our intrepid cooks at home are
familiar with
their knife skills.
Yes. Are you going to remember how long the chicken's been in the oven for?
Yeah, I'm watching the timer. I think it's had about 10 minutes.
Yeah?
I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, and then just take off that pith.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're popping on the menus at the moment that you're sort of particularly excited by, that you think is very sort of here and now for 2021?
Well, I don't know. Like at the moment, we're still busy doing menu development for openings.
Yeah, of course.
So we've got to see what our suppliers can give us. We've got so many restrictions.
That's a challenge. There's so much going on, which is preventing all the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, reaching our tables.
This is a beautiful blood orange. Sometimes when you slice into blood oranges, they're just orange.
Yeah, they're a disappointment.
Very disappointing.
This is delivering. What are you're sort of doing? What are they? 5 mil slice sort of thing?
Yeah, nice and chunky and rustic.
And you're not worried about the pips?
I'm not worried about it.
Straight through the pips.
I mean, if there's a particularly big pit, I would take it out. Okay. A little bit of salt on those.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add to this some parsley, which is all here.
Mm-hmm. And this is just the leaves?
Yeah, this is just the leaves.
Roughly chopped?
Yeah, roughly chopped. I'll probably go over it a bit more like that, yeah. I don't mind a little bit of stalk or anything in there.
Would you say that sort of parsley, thyme, mint, dill. Are they sort of the principal herbs of sort of Lebanese cuisine? They're the ones you play around with mainly?
Definitely the parsley, the mint and the dill, for sure. I think we're going to go more parsley.
Oh, you go on, live on the edge.
Yeah, live on the edge. And then would you mind picking me that mint?
Yes, of course. Sorry, I was just sort of beginning to watch and
no, that's
forgot
okay.
that I have a sort of a role to play here too. Okay.
I'll keep you involved.
Keep me involved.
Yeah.
Gosh, that smells so good. I'm a huge fan of mint tea.
Yeah.
But, you know, done properly. Absolutely love it. Is that enough mint? We'd like a bit more. There's more.
A bit more, please.
Need more for later.
Yeah. Lots of herbs.
Lots and lots and lots of herbs. You can't really have enough, can you?
No, not in a tabbouleh. Yeah, and we just,
how's that?
That's good.
Yeah, good.
Put those together.
So aside from the herbs, what other sort of store cupboard sort of ingredients, essentials might you have? What could you not live without if you were to sort of creating, you know, food, Lebanese food?
Tahini.
Tahini, yes. Of course, tahini, yeah.
I don't think we've added any salt to this, so I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and then I'm going to add our chickpeas and bulgur wheat, which have been cooked for you.
Now, have those chickpeas got their little sort of shells on?
These don't.
These don't.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Look, that's the way to do it, then, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would say that's a.
My hairdresser, hello Tony, he's Lebanese, and he loves to cook, and he's told me how to make a fabulous hummus. Well, I mean, you've got to have a lot of time on your hands because you have to shell each and every single one of the little chickpeas.
Yeah.
And it is the most beautiful, fabulous, silky smooth. But my 4.5-year-old, he loves hummus, and now he's tried Tony's hummus, the authentic hummus. He won't have it any other way. So we're shelling chickpeas continually. Anyway.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't do that personally, but yeah, they say the best hummus is shelled.
Okay, so the bulgur wheat, the chickpeas are in, and then...
Yes, so this dish is ready.
Oh, okay.
So we can actually just plate it and just let it sit aside. And
well, let's do it. Let's do that. I've got the bowl for you here.
Marinate a little bit, you know?
Yeah, good idea.
So what we're going to do is just lay these blood oranges so that you can see them a little bit.
What I might do is just move that there, then a bit more visible.
Actually, we haven't tasted this. Should we try it first?
Aha, yeah, always try.
Yeah. Maybe it...
What do you think? Salt, lemon, pepper.
More olive oil.
More olive oil?
Yeah, and I'm probably going to add an extra squeeze of lemon juice.
Okay, well, we have an orchard of lemons, it would seem, and more of that delicious olive oil. The best thing about cooking, isn't it? It's the sort of the trying as you go along.
Yes, exactly. Oh, look at that shower of lemon juice. Nice.
That's it.
Cool. Now I think this is going to be right. Chickpeas don't often feature in tabbouleh, actually. I'll tell you the reason why I've added the chickpeas.
Go on.
It's because in the toum, the garlic sauce for the chicken, we use agua faba, the chickpea water, to bind the sauce. And I couldn't give the water of chickpeas without giving the chickpeas. So that's where that came from.
There we go.
So now we go in with the blood orange.
Oh.
Yeah, just so it's kind of like nice little layers.
Just layering it up.
Yeah. I think that
is absolutely à point.
That's it.
Yeah,
we'll keep,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's move that to one side, and we'll come back to that later. Let me give you a hand wiping down.
Yes.
So we're going to move on to a bit of radish refreshing.
Yeah.
That's what it says in my notes, at least.
So the radishes have been soaking in ice water because when you get them, when you open your box, you'll see that they've been traveling for a while, so they will wilt down a little bit. So we just put them in ice water to refresh them, make sure they're nice and crunchy.
So Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say at home, you would have been given the instruction in your booklet to pop your radishes into some cold iced water. So I hope you've done that. If you haven't, panic not. Yeah. There's plenty of time to do it.
Make sure you wash them first too, because they often have quite a bit of grit in the leaves. So that's what we're looking for. Just like 3 or maximum 4 of the very best leaves.
Okay.
Any that look a bit weak or limp or yellow are gonna go to the side.
I can definitely join in on this.
So, yeah.
And what about these little sort of the white sort of, is that a stalk? Keep those?
That's up to you.
Okay.
I don't really mind them. Yeah, if you don't like little tassely roots in your food, then take it out. But
it is amazing how these have come to life in the last sort of half an hour or so since you refreshed them. Exactly. They really do.
It does work.
It makes a big difference. They're so beautiful. They're so lovely to handle as well.
They're lovely, yeah. And radishes, I think, feature quite a lot on the Lebanese table as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And this is going to go with the aubergine.
This is going to go with the mutabal, yeah.
Yeah. Now that's a big deal, isn't it?
Yes.
You can judge the quality of a cook by the quality of their aubergine puree, can you not?
Do you think so?
Well, I heard something like that. There's no pressure, Calvin, but I have heard before.
Yeah. High heat when you're burning aubergine.
Yeah.
So it cooks rapidly and the flesh stays nice and bright and white.
Right.
Yeah.
And sort of over a barbecue or naked flame, that sort of thing.
Ideally directly on
under the grill.
The charcoal.
On the charcoal.
But at home you can do it on a little griddle pan or...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to finish these while I check my sardines.
Yeah, of course, I will, of course. And so, yeah, the sardines have... I don't know how long they've had, actually. Sort of slightly losing track of time, but... How are they looking?
They're looking good.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you want to bring them up here and pop them on the overhead, and so at least we can see where they've got to? They are looking good.
What I'm going to do...
Oh, they are smelling great.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is just take them on there and pour some of the butter over the top just to
sort of baste it.
Baste it a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
And these, I reckon, are pretty much cooked.
Great, that's not long, is it?
No, how long has that been?
Say sort of 7 or 8 minutes, that sort of thing.
That's about right. In a good oven.
Afraid this one's looking a little bit sorry for itself, but anyway, he can go and hang out with his buddies. We can put that to one side now.
So we sprinkled that over. Sprinkled, drizzled.
Drizzled, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and a poussin check.
Poussin check.
Do you want to come and bring that over? We'll have a little look over here. No, don't worry. Kind of look on the overhead cam. Yeah. So what are you looking for here?
Well, I'm just looking for that nice colour on the skin.
Which you've certainly got.
I want to make sure it's not bouncy, which means it's raw. It needs a little bit longer, but the flesh is almost starting to kind of, I don't know, separate off the bone a little bit, which means that it's nearly cooked.
You want a little bit of give, but...
yeah, you want it to give a little bit, yeah, for sure. If it feels like it's giving resistance, then it's not cooked.
Yeah, and all that stock has reduced a bit, hasn't it?
Yes. Oh. So that is going to go in for just a few minutes, and then we're going to take it out to rest. It's nearly ready.
Okay, brilliant.
Cool. Shall we make pita?
It's pita time, yeah. Would you like me to do something with the radishes? You want to plate the radishes?
Should we plate them?
Let's get those plated.
We can plate the mutabal and the sardines actually, and then just crack on with the...
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. So that is the plate for the radishes. Wow.
I'm just going to taste that as well. So this, it's good.
You happy?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just burnt aubergine with a bit of tahini and a bit of yogurt and a little bit of garlic, lemon, and some verjus as well. Yeah. So we're just going to spoon that on there. We're going to lay the radishes.
Oh,
just around,
colour.
Just around the side. It's like a crudité snack, you know?
It is.
Yeah.
There'll be some cooks at home, I tell you, who will just be sort of sneaking a few of those radishes away.
Yeah.
Don't blame you.
No. And you've got plenty, so.
Yeah. It'll be good for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
stunning.
Stunning, and
stunning.
These are extra radishes to snack on while you're cooking.
I have a sort of a corner over here that I call snack corner.
Snack corner. I've heard about that. Okay, so I've got some urfa chili, which is it's actually a Turkish chili. I love it. It's really smoky, raisiny, chocolatey. Because it's fermented and smoked, the chili. So it develops a really deep flavor, and it just kind of echoes the smoked aubergine, the burnt aubergine, and then some
more of that delicious oil.
More of the olive oil, and that's it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. That is putting a smile on my face.
Great.
Okay, let's pop the radishes over there, and sardines. I get your sardine plate.
Our pita's really proving away.
I know, it's going to start exploding.
So, sardines.
Yeah.
We're just going to lay them.
And these you do serve at sort of room temperature, is that right?
They can be room temperature.
Yeah.
They're actually, I prefer them when they're not piping hot.
Yeah.
The room temperature's good. So we're just going to kind of spread them around like that on the plate.
Lovely.
And these are going to get garnished with a little bit of Aleppo chili.
Gosh.
It's nice to have that little chili kick, but it also just adds a nice bit of colour
for colour.
Plate. And then very important theme throughout this meal, I think, lemon.
I admired the way you sliced that lemon. You just sort of whipped off the cheek. It was beautifully done. They're cracking lemons, those.
Yeah.
Very
so
good.
We're just going to whack that somewhere that looks nice there.
Amazing.
That's that.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So sardines?
Yes.
Done.
So let's, we can get the board a little bit clean, ready for pita.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to check on my meshi selak, and I'm going to pull the chicken out to rest.
Okay, well why don't you check on that, and I'll just clear down.
Yeah. Yeah, so the chicken's cooked.
Brilliant.
So what I'm going to do here, to finish it off, is I'm just going to get this wild garlic. Got some nice British produce here, seasonal British produce.
That's what we like.
Wild garlic. It's just going to go directly into the pan. And we're just going to kind of lay the chicken on top of that and let it wilt in the stock underneath the chicken.
Oh.
And while the chicken rests.
Yes.
And that's it. That's done.
Okay, so to one side with that, and
one side with that.
We'll plate it once we've done the pita, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Clean this down for you. And how are those little fellas?
They still need a little bit longer.
A little bit longer, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got time.
So we're going to let them go for a little bit longer while we do the pita.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I'm going to get a pan just warming on the side here.
Okay.
For the pita. If you would flour that bench, that would be great.
There we go.
Cool.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yep. And then what we're going to do is just remove the pita dough, which is nice and proved.
Gosh, it's all sort of, it's alive.
It is very much alive.
Great, look at that.
And we're going to just divide that into 4.
Now we're going to cook too, aren't we? Because of sort of time. But at home, you know, cook as many as you like. And would you suggest sort of cooking them fresh, or can they just be cooked and then put to one side and kept warm?
So you want the bread to rest a little bit once it's cooked.
Okay.
So cook it and then put it into a basket, cover it with a towel, let it finish steaming, and that's it.
Yeah.
We're going to make these into nice little balls.
Ryan was telling me, I've learned so much from Ryan, and he was telling me about the sort of the third stage of making bread is actually just to let it rest.
Yes.
You know, and that steam, you know, all that water has got to sort of stay within the bread, and if you cut too soon...
Don't be tempted to cut too soon, because...
Well, that's it, isn't it? You sort of instantly want to sort of go lunging in.
Yes.
But you've got to resist.
So you can just do this directly on the bench if you want, but this dough is quite soft. It's got quite a lot of water in it because you need a lot of moisture in pita dough because it needs to steam to create the pocket in the middle.
I see.
Yeah, so those little balls are just going to rest there. We're going to get this pan, this needs to be... So when you're cooking pita, the pan needs to be hot enough to be able to sear the pita and to create the steam which creates the pocket, but not so hot that it burns and there's not enough steam.
Great. Okay, perfect.
So we don't have a rolling pin today in the studio.
We don't.
So
there's always something that might get left at HQ.
So use a wine bottle.
Oh gosh, apologies, Pierre. I hope you don't mind. He's sniggering behind the cameras, but Calvin is going to use the best thing available, which is a bottle of the hocker.
Yes. So you want to roll it quite nice and thin, but again, not so thin that you form holes in the dough, because then the steam will escape and you won't get a pita.
So please send in your photographs at home. If you've got a rolling pin, or if you've been tucking into the wines, and I don't blame if you have, I certainly would be, then grab a bottle and start rolling your pita with a bottle. Why not? Let's have a splurge of those across Instagram. That'd be quite fun. So you're turning at 90 degrees each time, aren't you?
Yes, because I just want a nice sort of rounded shape. You can do this in ovals, you can do it in rounds, whatever you prefer. But that's how we want it to look.
Yeah.
And how thin is that? Like half a centimetre?
Yeah, half a centimetre. Yeah.
Cool. So pan nice and hot. I'm just going to test this first pita. And take those off to rest.
I saw the pan smoking a bit, so I think you've got some good heat in there.
Yes. So we're going to cook this until you see a few little bubbles on the surface, and then it's time to flip the pita. So basically, what we're doing is we're creating a surface on one side to stop the steam from being able to pop out.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's smoking away.
Can you see any little bubbles starting to form?
No. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can certainly smell it.
Cool. And then now we're going to turn this over.
Ooh, yes. And there's no oil in there at all.
There's no oil.
And probably take it off the heat.
Yeah. No, it's. I've moved it onto this one, actually, just because.
It's better.
I'm just trying to manage the heat a little bit.
Okay.
So do you want to try and...
Yeah, let me roll one. Let's roll one more. Oh dear, this is great. Maybe I should have floured it a little bit first. So
quick, have a look at these.
Quick roll and spin. Oh, look at that. Look what has arrived on set.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Someone has been shopping. Well, thank you very much. We'll use that for the final two. Love that.
I'm going to try this pan actually. I'm going to chuck that there.
Getting a bit of smoke in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Are you pleased with those?
They're a little bit soft. But they will firm up as they cool down.
Okay. And what are you looking for to know that they're cooked?
You just want to see that they've plumped up and absorbed the moisture, and the rice is sort of soft. So I'm going to let them to sort of steam out and dry a little bit there.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that the leaf will change colour a little bit as they cool down. It'll go dark, and then it's ready to plate.
Okay, cool. So your rolls out onto a plate and just let them cool down for a bit.
So I'm going to go...
Is that one hotter?
Yes.
Good. As I said, we're just going to do two, but you can crack on at home and do the full four. See if the smaller pan has higher success rate.
Yes.
What are the sort of ingredients in your fridge at home that you sort of can't live without? Are there certain things that you're like, oh?
Good olive oil.
Good olive oil. Yeah.
Good olive oil. I always have fish sauce in my pantry because I cook a lot of.
Is that from your travels in Asia?
Yes. What else?
Is from sort of your trip in Asia, is sort of Thai food sort of number one?
Well, it's where I spent the most time. Yeah, I spent 2 years there, so yeah. So this pan, I think, is doing a better job.
Good, I'm pleased.
The other one, I think the base was a bit too thin.
Yeah.
So now you see we're getting those nice little puffy bubbles there.
That's it.
Yeah. And once that's
puffed. And actually, incidentally, I didn't notice, but I'm sure eagle eyes at home probably did, that once the pita's cooked, you're popping it inside the tea towel and just keeping it nice and cozy.
Yes.
Brilliant. Well, after this, we're going to be plating everything up and inviting Pierre back. So shall I just sort of clean down here a
Yes,
bit?
please. That would be perfect.
There's no more further garnishing to do at this stage, is there?
No, just when we finish the
Just when we finish
last
things
two
off.
plates.
Okay, great. Well, what I might do is then we'll reserve our little pita friends for later. We'll get the crew involved in those. They'll love that. There we go. That's what we're after.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And that's going to go into the...
Tuck that away. I think I heard the sort of the chinging of glasses to my left, which means that Pierre is waiting in the wings. Hopefully with some red to tuck into.
And shall I start plating?
Let's start plating.
Okay.
Pierre, why don't you come back in? Come and join us. I'm really sorry about this.
A novel use of
I hope you'll
wine
forgive
bottle.
us. But we had to resort to the wine. And we're just at that stage now where, well, the best part really, where everything is coming together.
So, the chicken just straight onto the plate.
That looks great.
Sort of draping that wilted wild garlic about the place, you know.
Yeah. Pierre, you've been watching as Calvin has been cooking, and
It's been the longest hour of my life. The smells coming out are so amazing. The garlic.
See, that's that parsley that we've wilted down.
Yeah, of
just going
course.
to add that in there as well.
is this sort of a sort of a taste of home, and in every sort of imaginable way, sort of through the senses, sight and.
It's slightly more exciting.
Slightly more
Totally
exciting.
honest. I mean, the sardines look so great,
They
and
do.
it's so nice to see kind of Lebanese ingredients like the sour cherries, the ktaifi, the sardines, but kind of all done on a totally a little bit cooler, more modern level.
Yeah,
So this is the toum. It looks like garlic meringue, right?
it does.
So that's just going to go on the side there.
Wow.
That's lovely stuff. I would finish this because I love toum. I love garlic, but just put a little bit to start and see how everyone goes.
That's incredible. Okay, let's bring all those dishes in then.
And then I'm going to bring in my selek meshi. I'm just going to plate that here.
Yeah, you plate that there. Can I give you that?
See how they've started to darken?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We end up having to do quite a lot of juggling here to sort of get everything.
See, when you plate them, you can just sort of press them into shape. Now, I will say to you, ideally, you would like these to cool down a bit more.
Okay.
Because as they cool down, they'll firm up nicely. And I think when it comes to these selek meshi, they're quite often served cold or room temperature. Because that's how they are best. When you do this with meat, like minced meat or with lamb or whatever, and chicken stock, it's nice to serve them warm or hot. But these would be good a bit colder than they are.
Okay. Oh. And then you've got a couple of pickles.
There's the one that...
That other one I made earlier.
Yes.
Maybe you can pop him to one side and we don't talk about it.
We'll put him in there. We'll put him in there. He'll still be tasty. He's just a bit more rustic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
Very good.
And then these are going to get a good amount of olive oil again.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of olive oil.
And they're going to get pomegranate. And they're going to get dill.
Gosh.
And that's it.
That's it. Wow. I mean, this is a feast. This is an absolute feast. And I sort of figured that over here you've got a couple of pickles, haven't you? Are these to go alongside the...
Yes, so those can go, let's just pop them in here.
Yeah.
So this is pickled turnips with a bit of beetroot juice to give them that nice classic purple colour. Should we just stick these there?
Yeah, why not? That makes sense. I'm just going to do a bit of arranging, so make sure that we're all in shot from above.
And I'm just going to grab one more spoon.
There you go.
Fork, that's fine. Actually, you know what? We're just going to tip.
Yeah,
let's just dip these in.
Dip it in.
Just dip them in and enjoy them like that.
Oh yeah, Calvin. Why not? Just have some fun.
It's a lot cleaner in the restaurant. Doesn't make such a mess.
There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Colourful.
Colourful. That's very sort of Jackson Pollock-esque.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Let's just move these bits out of the way. I mean, hats off, Calvin. What an incredible job. What an incredible job. Why don't you recap on the dishes? And you probably need a glass of wine to go with it. So
yes.
Tell us, what do we have?
So we've got our meshi selek, or selek meshi, which is our chard rolled with baldo rice, flavoured with a little bit of Turkish pepper paste, some good olive oil, lots of lemon, and dill and parsley. And we've got our sardines stuffed with sour cherry and orange, rolled in kadaifi, with a bit of parsley, lemon, Aleppo chili. Then we've got our mutabal, burnt aubergine dip with fresh radish crudité. And then we've got our tabbouleh on the side there for something really nice and fresh with blood orange. Our shish tawuk with garlic tum and a bit of wild garlic and pita, and our pickles.
How incredible. What do you think, Pierre?
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
cheers.
Toast to you. Well done.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Gosh, this as good as it was an hour or two ago. Pierre, what do you think? What do you think about the wine, and what do you think this is going to really work with on these dishes? What do you want to get your fork into?
I think I'm really curious about how the sardines will go, specifically because of the sour cherries, and I think the kind of fattiness of the butter, how you can smell it in the room, how it's kind of almost browned. I think that will be perfect. And the chicken as well, because the kind of, when you basted it with the stock, I think that's just going to be amazing with it.
Well, I better wrap things up so that we can do all that sampling and wash it all down with these delicious wines. So thank you everyone at home for joining us, and special thanks, of course, to Calvin and to Pierre and to everyone at Ottolenghi for your support with this destination, Yalla Beirut. It's been a great joy. So don't forget, post those photographs using the hashtag #CookWithRocket, tag us at a Cook's Tour, and yes, the best plates of food will, of course, judged by Calvin and Pierre, will win a free box to our next destination, which is Texas Blue Smoke. Not to be missed, really good fun. Ryan will be back in the kitchen, and he's going to be smoking the kitchen out like never seen before. So do join us for that in 2 weeks' time, and tell your friends, tell your family about us. We'd love them to join the tour too. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
And enjoy your dinners at home. Goodbye.
Cheers.